What are some of the biggest challenges in that? I just read a statistic that the South has the largest number of new HIV cases nationwide.
I think the challenges are stigma, 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 and money, 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 money. Put stigma and money together and you have the perfect storm. In the South, HIV is not something we want to talk about, because it involves behaviors that people in the South, all over the country, but particularly in the South, are loath to discuss and talk about openly. They involve sexuality, they involve recreational drug use, they involve drug addiction, they involve behaviors that occur in the dark, quiet moments. Be you the college student who is, your freshman year away from home for the first time, hanging out in the bars and going out on a one-night stand, or a 52-year-old man or woman who's in a retirement center getting online and looking for company. They involve becoming HIV positive or becoming infected with syphilis or any other STD involves behaviors that we don't want to talk about. And the next step of that is, of course, money. So in order to do testing and provide information and education and access, that all requires money. And the South is traditionally the least important priority when it comes to access to federal funding as any part of the region. We are in the battle of our lives for people living with HIV and for the next generation of folks that don't have to become infected. So the more noise I can make, I will make. As long as there's voice left in me, I'll make noise. Because it's not just about people living with HIV now, it's about the next generation of folks coming behind us and guaranteeing that they don't have to battle the same disease, at least not in the same way as we've had to.
If you had to define what HIV/AIDS means to you, how would you do that?
For me personally, it's been the greatest gift and the greatest curse. The greatest gift in that it's allowed me to in some small way change the world and maybe make it a little bit better for folks. Personally, it's been a benefit to me in the sense that it allows me to constantly recognize my own mortality. I try not to take life for granted. I know that every moment is precious. So in that sense, it's a very positive gift. In the sense of the curse, it's the constantly wondering, will I get sick? Is this the cold that turns into pneumonia? Is this the pneumonia that turns into PCP? Is this the time in the hospital where I won't come home? Will I get to see my niece graduate from high school? Will I get to spend the rest of my life with my partner? Will that be 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? It's that kind of curse. And then of course the curse of knowing that in some people's minds I got what I deserved. Because I'm a gay man, or because my behavior was poorly thought out.
Which it was.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ironic. Well, the behavior was poorly thought out. But HIV doesn't care. Unlike human beings, HIV doesn't discriminate. One of the other gifts of HIV is it's brought me together with friendships and relationships that I would have never imagined myself being in. My closest friend in the world, next to folks here at home, is a young lady who lives in D.C. whose name is Katie Stewart, and her grandfather was Jesse Helms. Her mother, Nancy, serves on our board of directors. Interestingly enough, because of my HIV status and because of meeting that family and because of becoming close with the Helms family, when Senator Helms died, I actually had true sorrow and true pain because a man who was related to people that I loved and cared about had passed away. And it actually, for me, was one of those great sort of teaching moments of you can't preach love and compassion and kindness and forgiveness except it either is something you teach or it is something you don't teach. It is something you believe or you don't believe. So, what is HIV? It is a mystical, magical, horrible thing. There is no one easy way to describe it. My preference would be that it had never entered the world and that it leaves us as soon as possible. But in the meantime, we might as well let it be one of the elements of life that we can find some value in.